everyone, and welcome back. This is Brittney Bundles, and today I'd like to talk about the power of virtual networking. Now, what drove me to create this podcast regarding the power of virtual networking is because I truly didn't understand how important, number one, networking was for my business, and I also didn't fully understand the power of virtual networking. So networking, using the tools and the resources that I currently have, such as my internet, my laptop, my cell phone, to really advance my business forward and to help many others along the way. And so one of the things that I like to do on my YouTube channel at Brittney Bundles, as well as on my podcast here, Brittney Bundles, is I like to make sure that I'm giving valuable information and insight through my experiences and my research, and also working with other businesses. Now, before we get into the podcast, I do want to encourage you all to follow me on my social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook at Brittney Bundles, Instagram, Brittney_Bundles. Again, I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Brittney Bundles. Follow me there. I do want to stay connected after the podcast ends. So, getting back to the topic at hand, the power of virtual networking. When I first started my business, I would hear some of the same things. You hear, make sure that you network, make sure that you market. But what does all of that really mean, especially to someone that is new in business? What does that mean? I mean, you Google, business marketing, and a whole bunch of information pops up. You Google business networking or networking for my business, and a whole bunch of things pop up. And so I was sitting there trying to figure out, okay, what does this mean and how can I apply it to my business? And I grew up in a very, very small city. And I had huge dreams. And I still have huge dreams. But sometimes I would really feel discouraged, and I would, kind of doubt the reality of my dreams because of the city that I was in. No shade to my city. I love the city that I live in. It's home, but it's a smaller city. And so just doing my research and finding out what I wanted to do and kind of looking to see where the industry that I wanted to go into was heavily booming and successful at, it wasn't in my city. So I started to really, like I mentioned, I just kind of got down on myself, and I started to doubt if my dreams were really going to come to play. And one thing that I do like to do for myself and for others that I work with is I like to be realistic. Everyone has a different way of how they look at and internalize and work through different things that they're going through in business, okay? Different things that they're going through in their life. And one thing that I always challenge myself to do is figure out, okay, what are you looking to get out of this business venture? What are you looking to get out of this decision that you made for your personal life? And what can you do to use the tools that you currently have to make sure that you're driving forward, that you're driving progress? And so, although location is very important when you are looking at opening any type of business, but there are a few things that you can do, especially if you're looking at opening a business that's online based. There are a few things that you can do that don't necessarily require you to pick up and move. And that's something that I had to learn. And so I'm going to be talking about that today. Again, I don't want this message to be misconstrued, or as I'm saying, location doesn't matter for your business, because as we all know, location definitely does matter for a lot of different businesses. But if you are running your business and basing your business solely online, then there are some ways that you can take advantage of the power of virtual networking to move your business forward and to accomplish your goals, along with helping others along the way. So I want to go over why I used to feel that my city was too small to manifest my dreams inside of it. Well, like I said, I grew up in a small city. I didn't have too many friends. I don't have a huge family support system in my hometown. And I felt like, hey, the majority of the people that are buying my products are not here. They're from this city and they're from this city. And these cities are bigger cities. And I would see other people that were opening businesses in other locations, actually thriving and doing well. So I thought, I don't really know, being in business now, I understand that a lot of things that I saw going into business, or a lot of expectations that I had going into business, were not true expectations, because I had been looking at different businesses that weren't really giving me the full tea, as some would say, of their business. You know what I mean? They were just highlighting the good parts of their business. And so that was one thing that I wanted to make sure that I differentiated myself from. I didn't want to come on to any platform just showing sugar and gold to my audience about becoming an entrepreneur. I actually wanted to explain the full picture. Being an entrepreneur is great. It has so many perks. But there are also some things that some would say are downsides. You talk about taking losses, and talk about how you may not have family and friend support. I talk about how you may be strapped for cash some months. I talk about how you may need to look at pivoting your business or closing your business if it's not what you actually want to do any longer. And so there's just different things that entrepreneurs go through that I really didn't understand, because I wasn't hearing that too often. I was just really hearing success stories. And although, who doesn't love a success story, I also want to be completely informed of, if it doesn't go this way, how else could it go? And so I thought that, I don't really see anyone else in my city doing what I want to do, and actually being my definition of successful with it. And everyone has their different definition, but I was like, hey, is it possible? I would also hear other people saying, for what you want to do, it's not going to work here. It just wouldn't work here. And so some of those thoughts stayed in my mind, and I'm like, wow, should I just settle for doing something that I really don't want to do? Should I settle for working my 9-to-5 job? And again, there's nothing wrong working your 9-to-5 job, but it was something that I didn't want to do. I didn't enjoy the job that I was going to. I liked the work, but I didn't enjoy my job, if that makes sense. I know there's a lot of people that can relate on that level. And so I just started doubting my dreams. Hey, there's not really a lot of people that I've linked up with to network with. There are some people that I've networked with, but we don't have lots and lots and lots of functions as frequent as other, bigger cities may have them. So am I kind of just stuck? You know what I mean? Am I stuck? And one thing that I had to do is transition my thinking and transition my mindset to not looking at what I can't do, but looking at what I can do with the resources that I have. So that brings me to my next point. Use what you have. The power of virtual networking is so powerful, because a lot of us have the tools that we actually need to network and to link up with other entrepreneurs and collab with other businesses and get our name out there, but we choose not to use our time and our resources to do that. If you have internet, more than likely you're using your internet for something, whether it be to listen to podcasts, whether it be to watch videos, whether it be to go on Facebook, Instagram. And although there's nothing wrong with doing those activities, I also feel that we should use our resources for not just recreational or entertainment purposes. We should also use the resources we have to network. One of the important pieces of networking, in my experience, is to collaborate and learn more about not only your industry, but learn more about working with other people, learn more about different strategies that are going to move not only your business, but other businesses that you may come into contact with, and really get your name and your business out there even more. And so that's really important to do to any business owner that is looking to advance their business and to actually grow. And so that's the first thing that I had to remind myself is, hey, a lot of times the only thing that is stopping me from networking or from collaborating or from meeting new people and getting my business name out there is me not actually going online and figuring out and finding different ways to do that. YouTube is a great platform to go on to connect you with other people. Facebook is a great platform to go on to connect you with other people. Instagram, Twitter. I mean, we have podcasts, you have Snapchat. There's just so many different tools that we have. We have different groups, different blogs that you can comment on, interact with. Being locked down, a lot of people actually started using the power of virtual networking more frequently. So they were hosting different meet and greets virtually, different parties, different events virtually, and I thought it was a beautiful thing to do. So use what you have would be my advice to anyone out there that feels like, hey, I'm not in the location to do what it is I want to do. Now, of course, like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, location is very important, especially if you have a brick and mortar location. But even when you have a brick and mortar location, there's different things that you can do virtually to drive your business forward. So use what you have. If you are a salon owner. I was in my salon, and I used to always be thinking about what can I do to drive my business forward. You know, I may not be able to offer a styling service on someone that's in another state at that moment, but I still can see, okay, well, what else can I do to provide value to that person in another state? And so if you know how to do hair, maybe consider doing styling videos where you can open the door to networking with other people. Consider creating a blog where you can open the door to network and meet other people. Always think about what kind of value you can provide within the resources that you have. Also, the next tip that I want to go over is life is what you make it. Life is truly what you make it. And a lot of people realize this later on, that the way that you look at your life really has to do with your mentality. Someone can look at your life and say, wow, if I had that life, if I had that setup, I would do this, this, that, or this setup is a great setup. I don't know why this person isn't taking advantage of what resources they have available. And for a lot of people, it's easier to analyze someone else's life than it is to actually put that type of thought and those recommendations and those action steps into play in their own life. And so one thing that I had to learn as well is that, you really don't understand anyone else's position or their life journey because you're not living it. But let's say that you could. A lot of people don't look at really what they're working with until their mentality changes. I used to have a mentality of not really applauding myself, not really giving myself the necessary accolades that I deserved, because I was still always looking at, okay, that's not enough. I didn't do enough. I didn't do enough. No, that wasn't anything. No. And a lot of us have that type of mentality. No matter what we do, we never truly stop to say, you know what, I'm proud of myself. Being proud of yourself is really, really important. And I know a lot of us look for others to be proud of ourselves, but when we really start to look at life in a positive light and look at what we have done, not forget about what we need to accomplish, but look at what we have done. Look at what we're doing. Look at how far we've come. Look at how many barriers we've passed, how many doors we have opened, and be appreciative to that. We'll start looking at our situation as not so bad, because life is truly what you make it. If you're in a position with your business and you're like, hey, I'm just not getting the traction that I need to have, focus on the traction that you have received, and also focus on what can I do to increase that? What have I done that's been working, and what have I not tried yet? Okay, and a lot of times, what I find is that a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with haven't tried using all of the social media platforms that are available. And a lot of social media platforms are completely free. They decided not to use those social media platforms because it may not be their favorite, or because, they may not have experience using the platforms, or they may not know too many of their friends or family that are using that platform. But what I do want to remind everyone and have everyone consider is that life is truly what you make it. If you haven't tried all of your resources, then there's still hope. I mean, there's still options, and that's how I look at it. And so I push myself daily to do things that aren't necessarily comfortable for me. Before I started my business, I wasn't on Facebook. I think I had a Facebook page and then I deleted it, but I really wasn't on Facebook. The way that I looked at Facebook is, all of the people that I communicate with and that I want to keep up with and that want to keep up with me, I have their phone numbers. You know what I mean? So there were no long lost friends that I needed to connect with or that I had an urge to connect with, no long lost family members that I wanted to connect with, because all the people that I kept in communication with and that I had a relationship with knew my number and I knew theirs. And so Facebook was something that was, kind of foreign to me. It was something that I really didn't want to do. But Facebook, with my business, has really allowed me to meet so many other people. It's really allowed me to spread the word about my business, share insight that I have, build other connections, and ultimately grow my business. And so when people come to me and they ask, what can I do to make more sales? I always say, let's take it back to the fundamentals. Let's take it back to the basics, and let's see what we can do to make sure that we are utilizing the power of virtual networking and the power of spreading our message and spreading the value through our services and even products online. What can we do? Even if you're on lockdown, even if you are in a smaller city, even if you don't have support from people that you know, there's a whole world out there waiting to support you. There's a whole industry out there waiting to get acquainted with you. And so a lot of times, the only thing that's standing in our way is our thoughts, our mentality, whether we're nervous to try something new or whether we just don't want to try anything new because we're so stuck in our ways. Just remember, life is truly what you make it. Your business is what you make it. And there's so many different things that we can do to network right within the city that we're currently in, right within the location that we're currently in, right within the circumstances that we're currently dealing with. There's so many things that we can do. I didn't have to relocate in order for me to grow my business. And the good thing about that is it showed me that, yes, I can move anywhere, but do I have to? No. My contingency isn't based on my location. My success isn't based on my location. It's more so based on my mentality and my mindset and how I see the world and how I'm actually able to navigate within the resources that I have, and also build a foundation so that I can navigate outside of the resources that I have and be able to acquire those resources without taking from any other area in my life. So the next thing that I want to go over is opportunity is everywhere. So that goes back to your mentality, the way that you actually think, the way that you see things in your mind through your perspective. And so another thing that I had to train myself on is being able to see opportunity. A lot of times entrepreneurs don't take advantage of the opportunities that they have because they don't see them. You can have two entrepreneurs in the same room, say they're in the same room and they're both, they have a maze to get through. And they both have the same maze, but we're trying to see which one, they're both in the same industry, but the goal is to see which one is going to get through the maze faster. And of course, there's different factors that go into who's going to get through the maze faster, who has experience, who is maybe more fit at that point, whose endurance is, a little bit stronger. But ultimately, what I would be looking for is whose mentality is set on the goal, who can also think and problem solve along their way through the maze, and also who can see opportunity. Because if you don't see opportunity, then when anything stops you or when you run into a roadblock, the entrepreneur that doesn't see opportunity may be more likely to stand there. Stand there and not move. Stand there and give up. And so we really want to make sure that we're training ourselves to see opportunity. Even if I'm standing here, what can I do to still move forward? Even if I'm not physically moving forward because I'm, stuck at this roadblock right now. And, I'm trying to think of different ways to get around the roadblock. But while I'm here, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do to enhance my plan? What else can I do to make sure that I'm reaching out to other people? What else can I do to instill more value within my brand? What else can I do? And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs skip that part. And, we're not really thinking about what else we can do while we're here. Not saying that we're going to be here forever, but while we're here, what else can we do? Just because I'm physically positioned or stationed at one place doesn't mean that my mentality has to be stagnant. Doesn't mean that my business has to be stagnant. And so the goal is to always figure out, no matter where you're at, what you're doing, how can I continue to move forward? How can I continue to move forward? And that's something that I really had to learn. It's something that, a lot of us just aren't born with, but we really have to train ourselves. And so this journey for me, becoming an entrepreneur, it's done so much more than provide freedom for me not to have to work my 9 to 5. It's done so much more than me being able to say, hey, I'm my own boss, because I know a lot of people love that title as well. And, it's done so much more than just give me accolades. And it's done so much more than just give me a following. And it's done so much more than just, allow me to create my own schedule. And it's done so much more than just give me time back that I would have lost doing something that I don't love doing. It's done so much more than all of those things. It's actually taught me valuable lessons that I wouldn't have learned anyplace else, because it taught me to look at my circumstances completely differently. And it taught me about the power that I actually have within the circumstances that I'm already in. And it taught me to think about, well, how else can I move forward when curveballs come my way? And so I think that being on lockdown was such a important time to so many different entrepreneurs and so many people, because if you used it the right way, it could have been a time to actually give you the time needed and the space needed to really think and to figure out your next step to move forward. There were a lot of people that were not affected, thank God, by COVID-19. Their families were not affected, their friends were not affected, and there were a lot of people that were affected. So for those that were affected, I completely empathize with you, and I send my love and my prayers to you and your family. Like I mentioned, there were a lot of people that were not affected at all. And so that's something that you do want to be thankful for. And there were a lot of people that found value in not COVID. No, but they found value in being able to not be at work and being able to spend more time with their family and being able to think about, well, what can I do while I'm here? And it took a lot of people some creativity. It took a lot of people some, thinking outside of their box. A lot of people actually had to dive deeper and figure out, how am I going to move my business forward with this curveball? I'm no longer able to be close to anyone. So how can I still move my business forward? How can I still generate income? We've touched on this in another podcast episode. A lot of people were not getting unemployment. A lot of people still are not getting unemployment, have filed and were declined or denied. And so still had to figure out a way to feed their family, to feed their children within the means that they had available. And so I think once you can tap into your mentality and the way that you think, your thinking habits, and really understand that you hold the vision of how you view your life, that's so powerful. And once you start seeing opportunity is literally everywhere, it just takes a moment to stand still long enough, to open your eyes wide enough, and to allow yourself to really think. Give yourself time to think, what else can I do right now in this position? Okay, and then the last thing that I'm going to touch on today is position yourself for the best results. Position yourself for the best results. So, virtual networking, one of the things that I recommend doing is positioning yourself on every platform that you can. If you are a business owner and you're looking to network, you're looking to meet other business owners, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to comment on posts. Don't be afraid to like posts. Don't be afraid to get on other, social media platforms. And I kind of want to restructure what I just said. Instead of me saying don't be afraid, even if you are afraid or even if you are nervous, one thing that I've learned to do is work within my nervousness, work while I'm in fear. I'm not going to say that everything that I do, I'm just completely confident as soon as I do it, because that wouldn't be true. I am human, so there are times that I try something and I'm very nervous, or there's sometimes that I try something and I'm fearful. Now, of course, I'm saying this in respect to not doing anything that's going to jeopardize your life or put yourself in danger. But as it relates to business, I can't say that everything that I've ever tried, I've done with complete, just full on confidence with no areas of doubt, with no areas of uncertainty, with no areas of fear, no areas of anxiety. I just did it. And so I think one thing that we want to do is to make sure that we're not necessarily trying to force ourselves to get over any anxious feelings, or any uncertain feelings, but we're actually learning, okay, I am anxious. I kind of am nervous, but isn't that normal? I think it's pretty normal and common to be nervous to do something that you haven't done before. And so one good way to practice networking and to practice getting yourself out there is to practice doing it virtually. Doing it virtually is going to make it easier, in my experience, to actually do it when you are in front of other people. When you are networking virtually, you get the opportunity to open more doors to actually going into in-person events. You have the opportunity to open more doors to networking and collabing with other people. The internet is so powerful these days that you can actually create a podcast with someone that's in a completely different state. You can actually create a video with someone that's in a completely different state, or even across the world. You can actually create a business with someone that you've never seen face to face. I'm just saying that there's so many resources and there's so much opportunity around us that if we're not careful, we may go through life looking at it as, wow, I just didn't have the best start, or wow, my business could be successful if I was in a different location. And again, like I've been saying throughout the whole video, if you are in a brick and mortar location, then location is going to be a little bit more imperative for you. But it doesn't mean that that's all you have to rely on. There's so many tools and opportunities that we have. And really, the businesses that I see continuing to grow and push forward are the businesses that are backed by a business owner or business owners that have a clear mentality and a clear focus point, and also that are able to see opportunity wherever they're at. No matter what you're doing, what place you are in your life, what city you live in, what state you live in, your circumstances, there's always a way to continue to move your business forward. You may have to sit and think a little bit longer than the next business owner. You may have to actually stop, take a deep breath. You may need to pray about it. You may need to sleep on it, but there should be always something that we can say, okay, this is something else that I can try. This is something else that I can do to move my business forward. And like I've been mentioning, with the power of having, the internet, and with the power of the devices that we use day to day, there really should be little to no excuses as to how we can network. Now, of course, networking is not going to be the only thing that you want to do for your business to move your business forward and to obtain as much success as you're looking to obtain with your business. But it is definitely a key point and a key part of making sure that you have the right foundation, and to make sure that you're transitioning your business and setting your business in the right position for complete growth. And so I really hope that you all took something from this message. I really just wanted to explain and to come to you all to just give encouragement, let you all know that, hey, I live in a small city. I've been told that in so many words, my dreams are too big for the place that I'm living in. Hey, you need to move to another location. Hey, your dreams would do so much better here. Your dreams would do so much better there. And, who knows? Maybe. But I'm always going to see what I can do within the opportunities that I have right around me. I have children that are in school here. I have family that's here. I have a home here that I would have to sell first. I'm not saying that that won't come later, but I am saying that a lot of people wait to start their business until the quote unquote perfect time. They wait until they've moved to the location that they feel that they should move for. And a lot of people that I see doing this or that I consult with that are doing this have a complete online based business. And when I ask them, hey, why are you looking at moving when you're online? A lot of people say, hey, I need to network. I need to network. And that's great. You do want to network. But when I get into asking, what events have you networked through virtually? A lot of them are, at a loss for words. And so just keep in mind that there have been events that I've been invited to strictly because of my online presence, me working with someone or meeting someone online. A lot of people that I work with, I know them from being online. And so there's just so many opportunities and resources available at our fingertips that a lot of us overlooked. So I'm just encouraging everyone to slow down. I'm not saying stop, but slow down enough for you to be able to actually see the opportunity that you have around you. Slow down long enough for you to actually be able to use the resources that are available to you. And when I slow down, I'm not saying stop or take any breaks that are unnecessary. All I'm saying is give yourself time to actually see the resources and use those resources. I mean, a lot of us are using those resources daily anyways. Why not use those resources to better ourselves, better our business, and to network within the resources and tools that we already have? So again, thank you so much for listening to this podcast today. I hope that you found value. My name is Brittney Bundles, and I will see you all in the next episode. Take care.